A blast ripped through the forward outpost. Intel feeds flickered, codes scrambled, and an unknown war mission slipped into blackout. In that chaos, one military mystery story surfaced from a classified operation, and the truth behind Marine Sarah Johnson's presence in the war room was something never meant to be found. A secret even faceless military documentaries can't touch. Asterisk. The war room was colder than usual that morning, metal floors breathing out a dull hum as servers pulsed beneath them and tactical radios whispered encrypted traffic through the vents. Fog from the decontamination hallway still drifted at the entrance when Sarah Johnson stepped through, boots clicking with a calm certainty that didn't match the tension crackling across the room. No announcements, no introductions, but the atmosphere shifted anyway. Uniforms rustled, eyes flicked toward her, then away. Officers who dealt with missile codes and clandestine deployments gave her quick, uncertain glances. They didn't know who she was, and that was the point. Her presence wasn't listed on any roster. Her file didn't exist in the building's personnel grid. And yet she walked straight into a battle council where only top-tier clearance should tread. Screens glowed. Around her, drones sweeping enemy thermal silhouettes moving in fog-choked valleys. Intercepted chatter mapping an operation no one would speak aloud. This was the kind of place where a simple cough could silence 10 men, where updates weren't spoken, they were whispered. And she walked through it like she'd been there 100 times. A microhook. Most in the room thought she was a misfiled officer. Some thought she was lost. No one imagined the truth. Across the room, analysts monitored feed loops from an unknown war mission that had gone dark 48 hours earlier. No survivors reported. Zero data returned. The radar readouts flickered like a dying heartbeat. Then Sarah Johnson arrived. She moved toward the back perimeter, where a dim red glow traced the outlines of active intelligence overlays. Her gloved fingers brushed the chilled metal of the console quiet. A few officers stopped speaking mid-sentence, sensing something unfamiliar in the way she assessed the displays. Not curiosity, not confusion. Familiarity. As if she recognized terrain. The rest of them had only studied on screens. A low voice broke the tension. "Hey," called Lieutenant Marks, leaning back with casual arrogance. "You sure you're in the right room, Captain?" Sarah didn't look at him. She didn't need to. Her focus remained on the satellite feed enemy positions, aligning with uncanny precision, forming a pattern she understood instantly. Marks chuckled, louder. "We're running a classified operation briefing here, not a clipboard session." A few Marines snickered, but the laughter didn't travel far. Sarah finally turned her head just enough for Marks to see her. Eyes still, cold, assessing. The kind of gaze that told a man he had walked, blindfolded, into enemy territory. And yet she said, "Nothing Silence is a weapon," and she wielded it with unnerving precision. From the far doors, Admiral Rowan Pierce entered, his presence a thunderclap in human form. Conversations died instantly. Even the air seemed to hesitate. He scanned the room, then froze. Everyone followed his line of sight, and confusion rippled through the ranks. The Admiral wasn't looking at his generals, or the combat intelligence chiefs, or the analysts. He was staring straight at Sarah Johnson. Not with irritation, not with curiosity. With recognition, he walked toward her with steady, deliberate steps, like approaching a classified detonator. Mark straightened in his chair, suddenly unsure of everything. When Pierce stopped in front of her, the room held its breath. "Captain Johnson," he said quietly, "we weren't told you survived." Silence slammed across the war room. Marks went pale. Sarah finally spoke, her voice low, even, controlled. "Mission complete, sir." Officers exchanged stunned looks. Mission? What mission? Her name wasn't attached to anything active. There were no logs of her deployment in the last 6 months. No movement records, no satellite tags. A classified operation this deep should not have a survivor standing in this room. Pierce exhaled once, sharp, relieved, terrified. "We debrief now." But before she could move, a proximity alarm blinked red on the far wall. Just a pulse. Barely noticeable, but Sarah's eyes snapped toward it instantly. Pierce tensed, because both of them knew. That signal only activated when a mission leak originated from inside the building, a microhook. Someone knew Sarah Johnson had returned, and that meant betrayal had already begun. Sarah stepped back from the console, fingers drifting near the sidearm she wasn't supposed to have. Her jaw tightened. "Sir," she murmured, eyes scanning the ceiling vents. "They're already watching." And the entire war room realized this wasn't a briefing. This was the opening move of a battle. None of them were prepared to fight. Asterisk. If you're drawn to a military mystery story where one officer's existence threatens an entire chain of command, stay with this series. The deeper we go, the darker the classified layers become because every file Sarah Johnson touches leads to a deeper betrayal. Next part coming. And it gets lethal. The war room sealed itself with a hiss. Mechanical locks clamping shut across reinforced steel. Officers exchanged confused glances. None of them had activated lockdown protocols. That meant only one thing. The system was responding to a threat it had already identified. Sarah Johnson didn't flinch. Her eyes tracked the red pulse across the top right tactical monitor, reading patterns the others couldn't even interpret. The screen displayed a blurred overlay, thermal blooms shifting along the northern ventilation shafts. Admiral Pierce leaned close. "Are we compromised?" Sarah's reply was quiet, steady. "We've been compromised for at least 6 minutes." A hush dropped over the room. She stepped toward the holographic map, fingers dancing across the interface. The digital projection rippled, exposing subterranean access tunnels. Officers gasped. Those diagrams weren't part of the standard facility blueprint. They weren't even part of the classified blueprint. Marks whispered, "How do you know those exist?" Sarah didn't look up. "Because I've had to escape through them. A microhook to know a building's secrets. You must survive inside its skeleton." Pierce studied her. "Show us the breach." Sarah enlarged a cluster of flickering red signatures, mapping them into recognizable shapes. 3 intruders, silent, disciplined, moving with surgical precision. Not amateurs, not mercenaries, not foreign operatives. Tier 1 infiltration tactics, Sarah murmured. Someone trained them to bypass naval and all until. The room rippled with unease. If Tier 1 tactics were being used against them, then the enemy wasn't outside, it was internal. Pierce clenched his jaw. "They're after your recovered intel." "No," Sarah corrected, locking eyes with him. "They're after me." She tapped a key. A single file appeared on the screen, no title, just a black document labeled with a rotating cipher. Officers stared in confusion. Mark swallowed. "What is that?" Sarah exhaled once, controlled. "That file contains a list of covert operatives placed inside global private armies. If it leaks, every one of them dies." A deeper silence fell. The stakes had just become catastrophic. That the power flickered. Then every screen in the room glitched, pixels warping, static whispering through speakers, encrypted lines dissolving into noise. Pierce barked, "Johnson, what's happening?" Sarah stared at the static. "They've begun a data extraction script." Marks frowned. "But they're not even inside the server room." "They don't need to be," Sarah cut in. "They're piggybacking off my return signal. My re-entry into the facility triggered a dormant beacon." The officers froze. Someone had planted a signal inside her deployment logs before she even returned from the field. The betrayal wasn't reacting to her return, it had planned for it. Pierce stepped closer. "Are you telling me you were tracked all the way back to this base?" Sarah nodded once. "Yes, and whoever did it has someone inside this room feeding them live intel." All eyes darted nervously across the chamber. Sarah raised a hand. "Don't look at each other. That's how you spook an embedded asset. Instead, look at the screens." She tapped the console again. A new red signature appeared, this time inside the war room's east wall, behind a false utility panel. "Someone hiding in plain sight." Sarah drew her sidearm. "Pierce," she said quietly, "prepare your teams. I'm going in." And then, without waiting for approval, she disappeared into the shadows of the war room, hunting the infiltrators who had come to take her life. The east corridor was a narrow steel throat, pulsing with emergency lights and faint static leaking from overhead ducts. Sarah moved through it silently, footsteps controlled, weapons steady. She breathed in the cold metal air, sharp, recycled, tinged faintly with dust and machine oil. Behind her, the war room struggled to keep up. Soldiers whispered updates through radios. Pierce issued commands with military precision, and Marks tried not to collapse under the weight of what he didn't understand. Sarah understood perfectly. There was no panic, no hesitation, only assessment. She approached the false panel identified on the thermal feed. The metal looked normal, smooth, brushed, secured with rivets, but she saw the error instantly. Rivets on every panel were steel gray. These were black and scorched from micro-welding tools, a micro-hook. Every intrusion leaves fingerprints. The best operators see them before anyone else can. Sarah crouched, placing a fingertip on the lower edge. Warm asterisk, someone was behind it very recently. She holstered her weapon, pulled a compact device from her belt, and pressed it against the wall. It hummed with a faint vibration, mapping the interior space using microsonic pulses. The result projected across her visor screen. A human silhouette kneeling, steady unmoving. Waiting. Sarah exhaled slowly. He's not hiding, she whispered. He's setting an ambush. Behind her, Pierce's voice crackled through the comms. Johnson, wait for backup. No time, she replied. He's listening to our frequency. A second silhouette appeared behind the first, then a third. The enemy hadn't breached through the vents or tunnels. They were teleported in through a disguised maintenance shaft connected to the base's classified underground rail system, a system most officers didn't even know existed. Sarah tapped her Pierce. Shut down power grid A3. Now, but that will kill the locks. That's the point. Before he could protest, she triggered a flash spike charge and detonated the false panel. Metal shrieked and folded outward. Darkness swallowed the corridor as the power grid cut out, and the figures lunged from the black. The first assailant moved with crisp precision, knife angled, steps silent. Sarah spun, grabbing his wrist, driving her elbow into his jaw. The impact cracked bone. She twisted the blade free, using it to deflect a second attacker. Breathing steady. Heart rate controlled, movements calculated. These weren't standard operatives. They were trained in the same pattern she had mastered. The same division, the same methods. The betrayal was deeper than she expected. One attacker hissed through a mask. You shouldn't have returned, Johnson. His words weren't emotional. They were procedural, spoken like a command line he had been assigned to deliver. Sarah's grip tightened on her blade. You're not authorized to use my name. The corridor exploded into a flurry of steel and shadows. Sarah countered each strike with brutal economy, using walls, angles, leverage. She wasn't fighting men, she was fighting her own training, reflected back at her. Someone hadn't just tried to kill her, they had cloned her tactics. She neutralized the last operative with a chokehold, dragging him into the dim light. He wore a patch on his armor, one she recognized instantly. A division that didn't officially exist. A cause she had once belonged to. A unit she thought was buried after their last mission. Her voice was barely a whisper. Ghost Division. The soldier looked up with bloodied teeth. They know you're alive, and they're coming. Who? He smiled. The other half of your team. Sarah froze. She didn't have a team. They had died years ago. Or so she believed. The man's breathing slowed. They're already inside the building. And his pulse stopped. Asterisk. Alarm klaxons blared through the base as Sarah dragged the unconscious attacker toward the war room. Officers scrambled to reinforce defenses. Pierce shouted orders over the chaos. Marks fumbled with a rifle he hadn't fired since basic training, but none of it mattered. Ghost Division wasn't a threat the Navy could fight with standard doctrine. They were Phantom's misfits, precision instruments. Weapons forged from silence and shadows, and Sarah used to be one of them. The war room doors opened, revealing anxious faces. Pierce stepped forward. Johnson, report. She dropped the body at his feet. Ghost Division. The room erupted in disbelief. Pierce blanched. Impossible. That program was dissolved. Sarah shook her head. No, it went dark. Operating off. And now they're here. Mark swallowed. Why, what do they want with you? Sarah pointed at the ciphered file still glowing on the main screen. That file contains embedded profiles of their operatives' identities they were promised would remain protected forever. Someone leaked it, and they think I'm responsible. Pierce stared at her. Are you? Sarah held his gaze. If I wanted them dead, Admiral, you wouldn't need to ask. A microhook. Trust isn't given to soldiers like her. It's loaned and easily revoked. She approached the holographic map, tracing enemy movement. They're not here to kill me. Not yet. They're here to erase the file and extract one person. Pierce's brows furrowed. Who? Sarah tapped the center of the screen. Myself. Gasps rippled through the room. They think I know where the leak originated, she explained. They think I can be interrogated. Marks winced. Interrogated? By your own former unit. Sarah's voice was steady. There's no such thing as former to Ghost Division. Pierce slammed a fist onto the console. Then we fight. Sarah shook her head. No, you can't fight them. They'll go through your men with surgical efficiency. Then what do you propose? She looked around the room. Officers, analysts, frightened Marines who had never faced enemies like the ones coming. We run an inversion trap. Pierce raised an eyebrow. What? A reversal protocol I designed for deniable missions. We take control of the base's blind spots, seal corridors that lead to extraction routes, and most importantly, she stepped closer to him. We make them believe they've cornered me. Marks blinked. You want to bait them? I want to buy us one shot at identifying who leaked my signal. A microhook. Sometimes the only way to catch a traitor is to become the prize they try to claim. Pierce hesitated. Johnson, this could get you killed. Sarah stared into the dim red glow of the war room light. It already should have. A technician yelled from the rear monitors. Movement, multiple signatures breaching the south hallways. Sarah's jaw tightened. They're dividing to flush me out. Pierce turned. Deploy counter teams. No, Sarah snapped. They want casualties. They use chaos. She scanned the map again, then she saw it. The pattern of their movement wasn't random, it was deliberate, forming a triangular encirclement maneuver. A formation Ghost Division used only when hunting one of their own, she whispered. They're executing Protocol 0. Pierce froze. That means they're not here to extract me, she cut in. They're here to erase me. The lights flickered. The temperature dropped. Shadows moved at the far end of the hall. Ghost Division had arrived. Asterisk the moment Protocol 0 activated. Sarah's pulse sharpened not from fear, but from recognition. She had once trained for this maneuver, used it, perfected it. Now she was its target. The war room dimmed as silent suppression systems kicked in, lights reduced. Oxygen levels subtly fluctuated, sound dampeners lining the walls. Ghost Division operated best in manipulated environments. They weaponized atmosphere. Sarah turned sharply to Pierce. Kill the internal dampeners. He hesitated. But that's a safety, Admiral. Kill it or lose sight of me entirely. Pierce slammed his authorization code into the console. The room brightened, returning to crisp lighting. Officers exhaled in relief. Marks spoke softly. If they're this good, how do we stop them? Sarah's eyes stayed on the map. We don't stop them. We direct them. She pointed at the central corridor, a choke point with 3 blind angles. They'll use this to box me in. We let them enter. Then we flip the environment. Pierce studied her. You're proposing a tactical reversal inside our most sensitive facility. Yes, because they don't know I've already mapped their angles. She grabbed a compact device from the console, triangular palm-sized. Marks frowned. What's that? Echo beacon. Projects a false thermal signature. She tossed it to him. Congratulations. You're now me. Marks nearly dropped it. What? No, relax, Sarah said. They won't kill the decoy. They'll try to flank it. Pierce interjected. Which gives us a window. Exactly. A micro hook. Good operators react. Exceptional operators predict. Ghost operators manipulate. Sarah sprinted toward the corridor as the war room sealed behind her. Her boots pounded against metal grates, echoing softly in the dim hall. She slid behind a pillar just as silhouettes emerged at the far end. Fast, silent, tactical. 3 of them, formed in a staggered triangle. Ghost Division's signature pattern. Sarah whispered into her come. Marks dropped the beacon. Marks's terrified voice replied, dropping. The beacon clattered onto the floor, activating instantly. A faint white-hot outline of Sarah appeared on enemy thermals. The ghost operators shifted formation. Left flank, Sarah muttered. Predictable. She waited, timing their movement, listening for the faint scrape of boots through tactical fabric. When the first operator turned the corner, she moved. A blur of motion, a strike to the throat, a twist of the wrist. A silent collapse. 2 remained. They didn't hesitate. Ghost Division never hesitated. They surged forward in perfect synchronization. 1 high, 1 low. Sarah slid beneath the first, kicking upward into his knee joint. Bone cracked. The second swung a blade her direction, but she caught it between her gloves, twisting it free. He moved to speak. She silenced him with a strike to the temple. Both bodies dropped, but Sarah stepped back. Eyes narrowing. Too easy. A microhook. Ghost Division never sends the real hunters first. Alarms blared again. Pierce's voice cracked over her come. Johnson thermal scans just picked up 3 more signatures behind you. She spun, but she didn't draw her weapon. Instead, she whispered, this is the real team. Footsteps echoed heavier, more deliberate. The air turned colder. Then a voice she hadn't heard in 4 years murmured through the corridor. Sarah, you shouldn't have come home. Her blood ran cold. She knew that voice. Captain Elias Ward, her former unit commander, a man long believed dead. A ghost among ghosts. He stepped from the shadows, eyes sharp as razors, wearing the insignia she once bore. Protocol 0, he said softly, requires closure. Sarah tightened her grip on the stolen blade. Ward, why betray our oath? Ward's smile was thin, haunted. Because you broke it first. And he raised his weapon.